Hello, everybody. This is Josh Becerra from Augurian. This is the next episode of How I Work. I'm here with Arttu Haho. How you doing, Arttu?
I'm doing very well. Thanks, Josh, for inviting me, and I'm very happy to hear the rolling R.
Yeah, that's right. When we first talked, you said I'm like one of very few people in the United States who can roll the R in your first name. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's how we say it in Finland, and then the US version of my name seems to be more like R2D2. So,
Yeah.
but both are fine. Very
Yeah.
happy.
I mean, R2D2 is a beloved droid. So hey, there you go. So you mentioned Finland. Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about your personal story? You're an entrepreneur, you got started in Finland. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been 5 years or almost 4.5 exactly with TrustMary, and I'm one of the founding members. And yeah, that was 4.5 years ago when we really get the things going. And before that, I was working totally in different kind of work. So I was sourcing manager in IT corporation. So that was kind of the big jump from corporate world to startup, starting from zero. And we had a totally different kind of service when we started, and now we are a software business. So it has been kind of very interesting journey.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. So yeah, you started, it was video production services, and that started growing and doing awesome. And then you moved into TrustMary, which is, your software as a service platform, which is what we'll spend most of our time talking about. So whatever happened with that original video production service company? Is that still ongoing concern?
It's actually the video production. Yeah, that was the initial service. So video testimonials, and like very easy way to get video testimonials anywhere from Europe or North America.
Yeah.
And that's actually now part of our software. So it's kind of the additional service we provide for our software customers at the moment. But yeah, when we started with the video business, that was we are actually solving the same problem still, even though the software is our primary tool for solving that problem. But that was kind of the we are bootstrapped, so we had to create positive cash flow, and we started producing videos, and that was our way how we were able to quickly create positive cash flow. And from the beginning, we have had a lot of different ideas what we actually want to do in a long term, and video has always been part of that. And then this current software we actually launched 2019 after investing 2 other softwares before that. So, but yeah, now it's looking very good. We are very excited about our current software and portfolio, and putting all effort to promote this.
I mean, I think it's awesome that you were able to, start in a service business, understand what the kind of market needed, how you could then solve that problem with software, and then take that service business and kind of embed it then into the software once you've got it created as kind of a feature or an additional service that you can provide. So I think it's great. So you guys always had kind of a vision for software, or was there something that made you shift gears and say, you know what, we're not going to keep doing this service video production business? What was it that caused that shift, or did you always have software in mind?
I think maybe from the very beginning, we had a kind of some kind of software in our minds that, okay, we want to I think one of the very first ideas was that, okay, we want to create an app or the service or the marketplace that you can order video testimonial from anywhere in the world with one click.
Right.
And of course, the natural way to do that is with some kind of software. But then you need to have like operational or system behind that, which actually does the work, because that's doing like the video testimonials. What we did in the beginning and still do is kind of face-to-face type of work. So it's not only the software, but then our current software is kind of the poor software. So it's fully digital. It doesn't involve like human resources.
Sure. Human interaction.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's I don't even remember what was the original question, but
that's all right. Yeah, just how you made that shift, and it sounds like you've done well. I know that you're in like a bunch of different countries now in Europe, and you've been in the U.S. for not too long. Can you tell us a little bit about your growth in Europe, and then what made you decide to come to the U.S.?
Yeah, we actually started our business here in the US already 2017 with the video testimonial business. Okay. So that's how we ended up here in this market. And still, okay, since then we have been planning to like land our operations here a little bit more seriously. And then in some point that was kind of the something that, okay, I'm most likely going to do. So I moved my family here. And when we moved here, actually, we did our final move. Before that, we were living here a little bit to scout different locations, etc. But the year ago when we moved here, we were still kind of trying to promote our video business as a primary service here. But pretty soon after that, we got our software going pretty well on the European side. So then we quite quickly changed our approach to here to be a software as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what was it about the Twin Cities? If you looked at a number of locations, like what was it about the Twin Cities that you guys liked?
Yeah, that's a very common question, that how on earth you ended up to move Twin Cities. And we actually we are bootstrapped, so we want to be very efficient with using our money. And so that was maybe one of the main reasons we wanted to start somewhere else than New York or Silicon Valley, which are kind of typical places for the European companies to start. But then the cost level is very high on those places. We felt that it's more difficult to get started. So then we started scouting different other locations. And then we actually moved first to North Carolina, Raleigh, and which is, by the way, a great place to be for a startup. And one of our board members was living there as well.
Yeah.
And then the other option was the Twin Cities, because I have a little bit connections here. I've been many times here in this area, and we have even some relatives living here.
Wow, cool.
So then it was actually a family decision to come here, because we thought that, okay, it's easier for our family to integrate, and then that allows me to focus on my work.
Yeah, for sure.
And, because we can basically serve our customers from anywhere anyways.
So you mentioned that you're bootstrapped. A lot of software as a service companies, they go the private equity or the venture backed route. Can you talk a little bit about that choice that you made, and then like any benefits or challenges that you see from making the choice to try to stay bootstrapped and grow, just using sales?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, first of all, you need to get money somewhere anyways, if you want to.
Of course.
So you need to figure out how to create a positive cash flow. And for us, it was the service business we were providing and still are providing to software customers. so that was like how we actually funded ourselves, and that's not maybe a very typical start for a software company. So that's maybe something unique a little bit. And if you are going 100% software, most likely you will need external funding to get things going. But yeah, the service component was basically our who funded our services. And yeah, the benefits of doing it that way, I would say, are at least that you really need to learn, like you are very tightly involved with the real customers from the day one. You because you want to guarantee the cash flow, and you kind of learn at the same time that how the business really works, and then you also become very conscious about costs. Like you always need to optimize the cost base, because most of the time you are only, like, the runaway is only a few months. And so yeah, that it maybe educates you with certain things. The downside is that of course you cannot go that fast compared to situation where you have a lot of funding, but it's not always going with the external funding like that either. So but yeah, I think there is like maybe it's more important that you need to find a way that you feel comfortable and you trust that this is the right way to you. I don't know. I don't have the experience of doing it the other way. So yeah.
I mean, I think it's great. Anytime you can preserve, your ownership and control of the company, and the longer that you can stay on that path where you're bootstrapping and growing with sales, the better off you are, in my opinion. So, congratulations for being able to pull that off. I want to shift gears a little bit into digital marketing, because the reason we do this show and have you on this show is because I think you've been really successful. You've seen some amazing growth in your organic traffic. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, the strategies and tactics that you've been using that you attribute to some of the growth that you're seeing?
Absolutely. And maybe this is kind of related to this digital marketing topic as well. I need to mention that we have always had very strong sales background. Because of our history, the sales has been kind of, we have been very sales led when we started. And now over the time, we have been kind of transforming, and especially when we launched our software, we have been transforming to be more like a product led. But we still have a very active sales team in Europe, in Nordics, and then we have more like the product led approach elsewhere.
Got it.
And then this kind of leads to our digital marketing topic. So digital marketing was not very, let's say, it wasn't a very important way of doing our business when we started. We, of course, because we have a marketing background in our founders, so we have been always putting a little bit of effort there, but still the sales was how we actually made the cash flow pretty much 100%.
Right.
And now, since launching the software, the digital marketing has been the direction we have been going more and more. And actually this year is hopefully the year that we actually can really compete with our sales, like with we are kind of trying to create a little bit competition between the digital and sales. Of course, people a lot of times they don't like that, because actually they have the same goal to find a new customer and bring the revenue, but then this kind of funny thing between our teams. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, our main, like what we are doing in digital marketing at the moment, we have been putting a lot of effort during 2020 to our search engine optimization.
Yep.
That has been one of the main things. And actually, I think that started really when one of my colleagues, Alexi, jumped into our team. He has been doing excellent job with the
Great.
SEO, and all the time we are trying like different tactics. And
Yeah, tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about like your formula, because I think you shared some numbers with me where you like got 10 times the visit. Like you started at a couple of thousand and you got to like 50,000 visitors.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was monthly or I can't remember, but you've seen pretty amazing growth, and you attribute it mostly to SEO. So like, what's your formula? How are you deciding to create content? How fast are you creating content? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. So year ago we had like 2,000 to 3,000 visitors, monthly users visiting our website. And in November, so 11 months later, we had 51,000 users visiting our website. So it's pretty nice growth, and still the 80 to 90% of those visitors are organic from Google searches.
Outstanding.
So that we can say that Alexi has done great job with the SEO, and the main things what we have been doing there, maybe there is like 3-4 main things if I summarize that. So continuous content production is one of the key things. So we are still publishing like 2 blog posts every week.
Wow.
So it's like more than 100 in a year.
Yep.
And that's one thing. Then the content of those blogs are mainly coming from keyword analysis or keyword research we have been doing. Okay. So what are the topics people search, and what are the keywords there? And then we have been using that to create like subjects for the blog posts.
Perfect.
And then building backlinks, like different kind of collaborations. That has been one of the maybe like the key things we have been doing there as well, continuously, and with the monthly budget, and like so that's I would say those 3 things are like very important there, and we can discuss more detail about those if you want as well. And then maybe the 4th one is I'm not sure how actually like how important this is, but we have been translating our website to many different languages as well.
Wow.
And still, I would say maybe 80% of all the users are English speakers, but actually more and more significant amount visitors are coming from they are landing to some other language.
Interesting.
But I'm not sure how. It's not clear for me how is that affecting the overall picture, because the majority of the users are English visitors anyways.
Yeah, I remember when we were prepping for this call, you had mentioned that you are producing a lot of content, and you just kind of let it take hold and see like what actually gets picked up, and then depending on what gets picked up is where you like double down and put more resources in, and then start doing like those optimizations. I thought that was a really interesting kind of insight and way to do it. At Augurian, we do a lot of the things that you're talking about, right? The backlink strategy. We help businesses understand what topics they need to write about in the customer journey, and where there's opportunity, and sufficient volume, and what are people searching on that are relevant to your business. So I think you guys are doing everything absolutely right, and I really liked that idea that you shared earlier, which was if you just produce enough, you can start to see, oh, this one's actually really taking off, and that's where you kind of put more resources into the optimization.
Yeah, that has we noticed that the bottleneck typically to produce enough content is if you set too high quality expectations for the content, that quite easily becomes a bottleneck for producing actually a lot of content. And so that's why, and also being a bootstrap with very limited resources, that's kind of the combination that you need to figure out something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's how we did it. So we just actually, I think our budget for that was, I don't know, you probably don't like mentioning the budget because that might affect your customers, but anyway, so it was only like hundreds in a month.
Yeah.
And then whenever we get we see that, okay, this article is getting a lot of traffic, so then we put more effort to see that, okay, what is actually written there, and then we probably improve our, it might include a description about TrustMary, for example, and then we improve that part, and then we make sure that all the call to actions are placed and etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we did it.
That's a good segue. My whole next line of questioning was about calls to action, because now that you went from driving a few thousand visitors to tens of thousands of visitors, how do you get them to actually, what are some of your calls to action? Are you basically giving free trials? Are you doing demos, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, our call to actions are the free. We just launched our free version of our software month ago.
Okay.
So we that's one of those, absolutely. Then we still provide also opportunity to book a demo meeting with us. That's one call to action. Then we have guides, like a little bit softer way, if you want to find more information about certain topic. And yeah, I would say those are and then of course there's a contact us type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
how much
mainly
testing? Sorry, how much testing and things do you do with that? What can you give us a little insight about what you think about calls to action in general, and how much you should be testing them and what's worked for you?
Yeah, I need to be honest here. So we still, I think we got the private traffic to our website pretty well. So we improved pretty well during 2020, and we got a lot of traffic, but I still feel we are kind of beginners with capitalizing that traffic.
Yeah.
And we are testing and especially with the we are beginners because we haven't been doing it we haven't been data oriented enough to try different things, and that's something really big focus for us during this year, since we have no traffic to try different things.
Right.
And so yeah, maybe in the next call I can share a little bit more insight, how we have been trying different things, because those what we have been doing so far are kind of very early tests, and yeah, we are seeing some results, but not enough data behind those yet.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you sound like a founder and entrepreneur who's never satisfied with the results and always want better results and more. So that's what kind of, I think, drives all of us. I think that's awesome. So, so why don't you tell us a little bit about TrustMary, since we haven't really covered what the actual software is.
Yeah,
because
actually,
I do think that I was just going to say, I think that some of the listeners who also have software as a service, they're software as a service marketers, they're interested in reviews and they know the importance of reviews. So tell us your special sauce.
Yeah, that's a good question, and actually that's kind of linking us to also to we first talk about how to try traffic to your website, and then you ask about how to really set out those call to actions to convert that traffic. And so the TrustMary is actually also linking us to the conversion part pretty well. And of course, you always, like, we have a lot of different kind of call to actions. You need to have those in place on your website to really convert traffic. But then there is a lot of other things you can do to improve the conversion. So like starting from design and starting from the content, what you have on your website, how well you are kind of solving a problem of your ideal customer profile. There is a lot of like things in like affecting those conversions, and a lot of times like the social proof might be one of the very important things for businesses to build trust towards their potential customers. And that's what we actually do with the TrustMary. That's our main differentiator. So we want to provide tools to our customers that they can exactly say that, okay, this is the value of social proof on their website, and this is how the social proof helps them to convert more customers. So what is the exact dollar value of your social proof on your website?
Got it.
And the social proof then is like how we understand social proof is that it's like everything what your customers tell about you, like everything which is kind of proving that you have customers who are satisfied with your business. And then the best way of getting that is actually asking feedback from your customers, converting that authentic feedback to social proof, like review or video testimonial or something like that, and then use all of that on your website to improve those conversions. So basically, if we put that in a nutshell, it's 3 different tools in one service.
Got it.
And if we summarize those 3 different tools, Net Promoter Score, customer feedback, and then reviews, testimonials, and then third one, improve conversions with all of that.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I mean, I'm a huge believer in social proof, and it's so prevalent. We almost like don't realize we're looking at it sometimes. It can come in the form of, five gold stars, or it can come in the form of there's only 10 of these seats left, or it can come in the form of 140 people also looked at this listing in the last 48 hours, or it can come in the form of I used Augurian for my digital marketing and they're awesome, right? And here's a video where I'm talking about it, or here's a quote that I'm talking about it. So I think that it's amazing how we as human beings interacting through these devices, even though I don't know any of the 148 other people who looked at the Airbnb that I just looked at 48 in the last 48 hours, like it creates like this urgency. It makes me feel like, oh, I'm looking at something that other people also want. So anyway, I think that the focus on social proof is really cool, and I'm sure you guys are going to be hugely successful with it.
Yeah, what we had noticed that there's like, depending on your industry and your business, it's a different kind of social proof, which is actually bringing the results. So yeah, for example, if you're booking something like accommodation, then it might be that, okay, there is 3 bedrooms left. That might be the best type of social proof, like other people's are also booking and then not too many left. It's kind of fear of missing out. But then when we talk about software businesses, that kind of social proof doesn't provide basically anything to them. So then for the software companies, it's the content, actually what you are getting from your customers is the most important thing. That if you can collect authentic content, usually you get the best content through the feedback collection, and then if you just use that in the right spots on your website, then that provides the trust or makes your customer to take the action, or the prospective customer to take the action. So yeah, that's it's very interesting area, and also we believe something still like there is a lot of opportunities we don't even realize in that area in future as well. So
can you tell me why TrustMary, why that name? Is there a story behind the name?
Yeah, there actually is a story, and actually the name is not even very old. So we had a Finnish name when we started 4.5 years ago, and then we had to figure out something like international, and we started going international, and basically what we are doing with our services, we are building trust between our customer and their prospective customers. So that's where the trust is coming from. And then how we are as a consumers or business buyers, so how we are actually making our decisions is that we want to always hear some experiences or feedback from those users, those like normal people who have already made the same purchase. And then so the Mary there in the name is kind of representing just a random typical human being who has the experience already. So TrustMary, Mary knows about this service or this company. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind the name.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for participating in this How I Work video. It's always fun to talk to you, Arttu, and I'll just keep rolling my R's, and you just keep growing that business, and we'll have to do one of these again sometime.
Thank you very much, Josh. And yeah, maybe I need to say your last name as well, Becerra.
There you go.
To roll my R as well to prove that I can do that as well. But yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and let's keep in touch. Let's have another call in some point, and all of those who are interested to try TrustMary, then go trustmary.com, and then you can sign up for free.
There you go. All right, awesome. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and look for our next video coming soon. Bye now.